This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, welcome to our day one training session of 7-week learning Golden Gate challenge. My name is Ashish Agarwal, and I'll be delivering this lecture to you. So before commencing the session, just a quick round of update regarding my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Ashish Agarwal _GG. So if you haven't visited the channel, I would request you to do visit the channel and do like, share and subscribe the channel. The channel is dedicated to Golden Gate related videos. Thank you. So this is 7-week learning Golden Gate classic architecture training. So the agenda of this training includes much more than what we have over here, but this includes at least this. Along with that, lot of things which we are going to discuss in detail. So introduction to Golden Gate, architecture of Oracle Golden Gate, how to install, what are things to consider, how to design Golden Gate in your environment, what are different concepts and components available with Golden Gate, how to perform DML replication in Golden Gate, what is initial load and how to do Golden Gate initial load. Then data filtration and transformation. So data, how to filter out the data and transform the data using Golden Gate. Bidirectional configuration we'll be discussing. So we are going to discuss the latest features of Golden Gate like bidirectional auto CDR, heartbeat table, performance metrics. DDL replication we'll discuss, how to monitor the lag, troubleshooting, performance tuning. These are covered in detail during the training. Then what is Golden Gate checkpoint? Now security is another important aspect. So how to configure Golden Gate security in your environment we'll be discussing. Parameters and parameter files. So parameter files are the heartbeat of Oracle Golden Gate. So how to configure new parameter file, how to comprehend existing parameter file. We are going to discuss all that as well. Then long-term utility we are going to discuss. That is how to read the trail file. Then how to do performance tuning. What is heartbeat table, performance metrics server, what is Golden Gate cloud service, what is Golden Gate self-describing trail files, obey command, macros, include files. We are going to discuss everything in detail. So our course content includes this, along with that lot of things which will be including ad hoc. Okay. So the day one session agenda includes introduction to Oracle Golden Gate. So today we are going to discuss about introduction to Oracle Golden Gate, overview of Oracle Golden Gate, then different types of architectures available in Oracle Golden Gate. So I discussed that this is classic architecture training. So some of you may have that query. I try to clear that prior to the session, but still, if some of you have any query like what is classic architecture? So that question, so there are two types of architectures available in Golden Gate. One is classic, second is microservices. What is the difference between the two? We'll be discussing. Then what is Golden Gate Veridata? Then different types of extracts and replicats available with Golden Gate. So we'll be discussing how to set up your virtual box and training guidelines as well as I mentioned. Then Golden Gate architecture, how the data flow from source to target. Then how to check certification metrics. What are the things you need to keep in mind before installing Oracle Golden Gate? So we'll be discussing how to check certification metrics, how to download Golden Gate binaries, and then perform Golden Gate installation. The next we'll be discussing about deciding where to install Oracle Golden Gate. Like what is Golden Gate Hub? We are going to discuss as well during the session. Then prerequisites to set up Golden Gate. Now, if time permits, we'll be discussing this part as we'll include this part as well. Prerequisites to set up Golden Gate. Okay, so this is day one agenda. So today we are going to discuss about that. So are we all set? Let us start. So before we start about what is Golden Gate, let us quickly have a look at Oracle database architecture. Now the thing is, Golden Gate is a product which works in conjunction with database. So Golden Gate is a replication tool. It's not only a replication tool, it's a data intelligence tool. So Golden Gate works on the database. Okay, so because data resides in the database, and basically Golden Gate works on data, I should say, and data resides in database. So Golden Gate basically works on the database because it fetches the data from database, it extracts the data from the database and applies it to another database. So for Oracle, so any database, like when we talk about Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, Informix, or any other database. So from where GoldenGate or any change data capture tool can capture the data, we are going to discuss about that. So first of all, what is GoldenGate? So GoldenGate is a CDC tool. CDC stands for CDC. CDC stands for Change Data Capture. You must have heard this term a lot, change data capture. So change data capture tool means whatever changes are happening into the data at the database level, a CDC tool will capture that. So GoldenGate is one of the CDC tools. There are a lot of competitors available in market. There are a lot of CDC tools available in the market. GoldenGate is one of them. So it captures the changed data from the source database and apply it to target database. Now, where does that change data reside? So each database has its own place where the change data resides. So let us discuss about Oracle database architecture. So Oracle database architecture is divided into two parts, instance and Oracle database. It is divided into two parts, instance and Oracle database. Now instance is divided again into two parts, SGA and background process. So your SGA includes your library cache, data dictionary cache, database buffer cache, Java pool, redo log buffer, large pool, and much more other things. Your background processes are pmon, smon, database writer, log writer, checkpoint, and others are the background processes. Your Oracle database contains the actual files. So your data files are the files. So there are three files which are there in Oracle database: data files, control files, and redo log files. And backup of redo log files are archive log file, which resides on the operating system. So data files are the actual files where the data resides, where the actual data resides. So say for example, when you do select star from employee table, from where do you get that information from? You get that information from your data file. So the actual data in database resides inside the data file. Control files are the heartbeat of Oracle database. They stores the metadata information of the database. So these are the most critical files of the database. If you lose your control file, you lose everything. So control files are the heartbeat of Oracle database. Redo log files. Now redo log files are the files which stores the changes being made to the database. All those changes are first recorded into redo log files before they get returned into the data files. So say for example, you are inserting any data or updating any data or deleting any data at the database level. Your redo log file, those changes. So whatever changes are happening into the database, whether there are DML change or DDL change, those changes will be recorded into redo log file. So a DML change includes insert, update, delete, which requires exclusive comment. DDL changes include like whenever you're making changes to definition of, whenever you're making any definition changes, it is called as DDL change. So DDL change or DDL change, whatever you are making, all the changes will be recorded into these redo log files. So you remember one thing, redo log files contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. So there is a misconception that redo log file contains only committed transaction. That's not true. Redo log files contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. So redo log files contains the changes like any DDL or DML change being made at the database level. Those changes are recorded into these redo log files. So say for example, you are inserting a data or updating a data or deleting a data. So what happens is that change will be returned to redo log file first prior to it gets returned to the data file. Now what is the purpose of these redo log file? Redo log file is used for redoing the data. Say for example, your database gets crashed before data could be returned into the data file. So when you recover your database, you recover all the data, and the data which is yet to be applied to the data file, it can be redo using redo redo log file. So redo log file is used for like it is used to ensure that there are no changes. Whatever changes were made to the database, they were not lost due to unexpected event. So redo log files are used for redoing the data. So how does redo log files get the data? How do they get the data from? So what happens is, say for example, you are making any change to the database. So that change will be returned into database buffer cache one first. From database buffer cache, there is a process which is DBWR. DBWR is database writer, which writes the data directly from database buffer cache to data file. So whatever changes you are doing, say for example, you are updating a record. So there is a record available in the data file. You are updating that record to a different value now. Okay. Now that that change will be returned or will be available in database buffer cache. Now what happens is, database writer process helps in writing the data from database buffer cache to data file. But the copy of that change, whatever change you make, the copy of that change is returned to redo log buffer as well. So whatever changes you are doing at database level, the copy of those change will be returned in redo log buffer. Now what happens is, there is a log writer process which writes the data from redo log buffer to redo log file. So how does these redo log files get the data from? Redo log file gets the data with help of these background process log writer. So log writer process is responsible for writing the data from redo log buffer to redo log file. So log writer writes the data from redo log buffer to redo log file whenever there is commit, or when it is 1/3 full, or when there is 1 MB of redo, or every 3 seconds, or before database writer process writes the data from database buffer cache to data file. So before database writer process, so that means that before the data becomes available into these data files, your redo log files get the data. So the whole purpose of redo log file is to recover the database in case of unexpected event. So before the so say for example, I'll give you one example. You deposited, you have a bank account in Bank of America. Consider you deposited $100 in your account. So earlier the balance of your account was $10,000. You deposited $100, so the new balance should be $10,100. Right. Now you deposited the money, you went to the bank and you did the transaction of $100. Now, as soon as you did the transaction, the money was deposited in your account. So so you deposit the money using the application front end, but internally it has to be done reflected into the database, right? So before, so it was deposited. So basically at the database level, before it could be reflected into the data file, though the updated balance, it got your database crashed. So when your database comes back up for recovery purpose, okay, these redo log file will the redo log files will be applied to the database for recovery purpose to ensure there was zero data loss. So this will ensure that the updated balance is shown in your account. Now, GOldengate or any change data capture tool uses these files only, redo log files, to capture the data. So these redo log files are limited at database level, like they are size constrained. Like you define around 50 MB of redo or 100 MB of redo, and you define 2 or 3 redos or maybe 6 maximum. So now what happens? Now suppose your redo log file gets full, right? So the backup of these redo log files are taken at database level, and it is called as archive log files. So archive log files are nothing but backup of redo log files. So archive log files always reside on operating system. They consume space on your operating system. So archive log files are nothing but the backup of redo log files. So for GOldengate, the ultimate source for data is the redo log files or archive log files, because all the changes are recorded into these redo log files or backup of redo log files, which are archive log files. So whenever GOldengate captures the data, it captures the changes upon reading these redo log files and or archive. So GOldengate, the source for GOldengate or any change data capture tool, like what is whoever is the competitor of GOldengate, like SharePlex, Affinity, the competitor of GOldengate or any change data capture tool, the source for those is redo log files or archive. Now, in case, so GOldengate is a product which works with non-Oracle databases as well. Like it works with SQL Server, it works with MySQL, it works with Informix database, it works with DB2 and multiple other databases as well. So for GOldengate, the ultimate source for each database, each database has its own transaction log. So these are called as transaction log, which stores the transactional log information. So MySQL call them as transaction logs. SQL Server also call them as transaction logs. So most of the database call it as transaction logs. Oracle call it as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. So GOldengate captures the transaction from the transaction log of the database. In case of Oracle, these transaction logs are called as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive. So as I told you, remember one thing, these transaction logs or redo logs or archive logs, they contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. Okay. Any question related to this Oracle database? So guys, this Oracle database architecture is big. I'm just discussing what is needed related to GOldengate. So for GOldengate, any data which is coming, it has to come via your redo logs or archive logs for GOldengate. Okay. Any question from anyone? Okay. So GOldengate has its lot of competitors.
One question here.
Yeah.
So is it, you said that the log data is replicated either from redo or archive, but if it is from redo, it should be faster, and if it's from archive, it should be slower.
No, that's not correct. That statement is not correct, because GOldengate, what it does is it automatically fetches the data. So say for example, it tries to read the data from redo. If the archive has been generated for that, it will read the data from archive. Otherwise, it will automatically read the data from redo. So it depends. GOldengate automatically does that. So GOldengate is a real-time solution.
Means first is read data from archive log.
No, it tries to read that. So the concept is, I'll tell you, when it was so you'll understand. We'll be discussing about GOldengate extract. So there are two types of extract: classic and integrated. So in classic one, it used to happen like it first tries to read the data from it first try to read the data from redo logs. Now if the archive has been generated for that, then it will automatically switch and it will automatically read the data from archives. Now with integrated capture, the concept is different, so we'll be discussing about that. But GOldengate is a real-time solution tool, and it can apply the data from source database to target database within real time. So we'll discuss about integrated capture and classic capture going forward. You'll understand that part. That part will be clear to you once we move forward. Okay. Okay. So let us move forward. So GOldengate, as I told, is a change data capture tool. Now there are a lot of solutions available in market today related to GOldengate. Like today, the most common competitor of GOldengate includes SharePlex. Have you ever heard about SharePlex? So there is SharePlex and Affinity. These are the two major competitors of GOldengate available in them. Still, let me tell you, GOldengate market share is almost 90 to 93%. SharePlex market would be around 3 to 4%. And Attunity is also, means SharePlex and Attunity you can consider together, they would have market share of around 6%. And remaining, there are other tools as well. So they have 1% market share. So GOldengate market share is huge right now. Like most of the organizations still use GOldengate. But yeah, the second most used solution nowadays in case of CDC tool would be either, I would rate SharePlex because I also do see SharePlex at some place, not that much, but yeah, still I do see, and then Activity is also picking up pace. There are other tools as well available in the market, but they are kind of redundant, like EMC Recover Point, IBM Mirror, Hitachi True Copy. HP had their own product. Then Veritas Volume Replicator was there. Then Sen Symphony and Sen Melody. But the question comes, why does GOldengate is being used so much? Why GOldengate? If there are other tools available in the market, same as GOldengate, why GOldengate is most popular tool? So with GOldengate, data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. Data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. So the advantage with GOldengate is GOldengate can send the data, as I told you, in real time. So as soon as data gets committed on source database, it gets applied on the target database with sub-second latency. It supports heterogeneous environments across different databases and hardware types. So another advantage with GOldengate is it not only works with your Oracle database, it also works with your non-Oracle databases like MySQL, SQL Server, Informix, DB2, Teradata. There are a list of databases with which it works. So the major advantage is, though the product is of Oracle, but still it is being used by multiple databases. I'll give you a quick history of Oracle database, sorry, this GOldengate. So GOldengate was founded in 1995. Okay, and it is named after famous San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. So it was a standalone company when it was introduced. Like it was Golden Gate only at that time. So it was initially implemented or initially designed for your ATM databases, but later on the technology was evolved and it was extended to multiple databases. Now in 2009, Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle Golden Gate. So, and since Oracle has overtaken Golden Gate, this technology has risen to next level now. You see, Golden Gate is not only a replication tool. Like people think that it's a replication tool only, but for me, if you ask me, Golden Gate has so much business uh, business cases, used cases. It can be used as a business intelligence. Organizations like GOldengate is a license tool, we all know, and the license cost is some of the organizations are not able to buy because of license cost. So the thing is, it's not only a replication tool; it's a data intelligence tool as well. So during the course, we'll see how good the tool is, how it is used as data intelligence tool as well. Okay, so GOldengate is a change data capture tool, which was, guys, I hope my voice is audible to you.
Yes.
Yes.
So with the GOldengate, the GOldengate is a change data capture tool, which supports your heterogeneous environments across different databases and hardware types. So the major advantage, another major advantage with GoldenGate is it can support multiple databases and hardware types as well. Like your source database can be different platform, target can be different platform. GoldenGate can replicate the data. There is no restriction with Oracle GoldenGate. So your, and another advantage is your source database can be on different platform, target database can be different platform. Your source GoldenGate can be different, target can be different. So GoldenGate supports forward compatibility, backward compatibility. It doesn't, you doesn't have to worry about source database, target database. You don't have to worry about source database platform, target database platform. So the advantage with GoldenGate is GoldenGate works with any supported database, it works with any supported platform, it works with any supported hardware. That is the advantage with Oracle GoldenGate. So your source database can be like Oracle, target can be Sun, target can be SQL Server, or any other supported database. GoldenGate can replicate the data without any issue. And same thing, it can, the source can be on Linux, target can be Windows, GoldenGate can apply. It doesn't have to, you doesn't have to worry about platform as well. Okay, GoldenGate delivers high performance with low impact. Now GoldenGate is a tool which is external to database, right? Now because it's a tool which is external to database, it connects to database obviously. So the thing is, we cannot say it has zero impact on the database when it connects, right? Because the database is getting connection from GoldenGate, and if anyone says that there is no GoldenGate impact, there is no impact on the database due to GoldenGate, then the saying is wrong. So GoldenGate, when it connects to the database, it has an impact. I won't say that, but the impact is such that you may not be able to realize that as well. It is possible. You may not be able to realize the impact as well. So GoldenGate delivers high performance with low impact. GoldenGate has ability to move large volume of data very efficiently. So GoldenGate can move your blob, large objects as well without any issue, and no single point of failure. So it is really very easy to troubleshoot Golden. So we'll discuss about that. You will understand that when we move forward. So another reason I'll tell you why GoldenGate is popular, like that is a financial reason. Organizations nowadays sign end user license agreements. So as I told you, GoldenGate is a separate license product which costs some money for an organization. Now, when you include so Oracle has end user license agreement, which I see which is getting very popular in last 2 to 3 years. Prior to that, organizations were buying like separate licenses for each product, but nowadays they are buying all the products as a bundle. So they sign the end user license agreement, and in that, based on the terms, you can use GoldenGate or any product of Oracle. Of course, the terms may differ, but based on the terms, if term agrees, then you can use GoldenGate on any number of platforms. So what happens is, because they have end user license agreement with Oracle, they tend to use GoldenGate, and GoldenGate, as I told, is not only data replication tool, it's data intelligence tool as well. So because of these end users, so I have seen many organizations, they just use GoldenGate for this purpose only. They just use GoldenGate because they have the license, or they have signed an user license agreement with Oracle. So GoldenGate also complements existing Oracle product. So GoldenGate ensures continuous availability for heterogeneous system. So GoldenGate, so say for example, you're replicating the data from one site to another site. So your site one goes down due to some reason. So what happens is your site two data can be replicated from site two without any issue. So the application can quickly, because GoldenGate is real-time replication, and it is replicating the data from site one to site two. So what you can do is You can quickly switch over your application. If site 1 is down, you can quickly switch over your application to site 2 to ensure that your databases are highly available. Real-time data access for reporting. So GoldenGate, so this reporting part, like I have implemented GoldenGate for one of the project like SBI India, State Bank of India, and this line, this part, I can tell you, like I have witnessed myself this means so I tell you in 2012-13. So people who are from India, they can at least relate. So State Bank of India is one of the largest bank in India. So I was working with them at that time. Of course, I was working as a consultant, not directly with them. So the thing was, they were complaining. Those who are in India, like they can relate or ask your parents. In 2011 or 12, during that time, these private banks like HDFC, ICICI, they were gaining momentum, and SBI was losing its because SBI was the main bank where each and every household used to have bank account because it was the top bank of India at that time. Now, after that, private banking also came into market. So the thing was, during that time, SBI, State Bank of India, uh, they were facing a lot of issues like customers were not happy because the response of the database was not. People used to wait in lines for hours and hours and hours. The reason was they were using data guard at that time. So their primary database server was in Mumbai, and secondary server was in Hyderabad, India. So they were replicating the data from Mumbai to Hyderabad. And at that time, their data guard, when they were using data guard, it used to take them 3 days or 4 days or sometimes 10 days lag they used to have at that time. The database size at that time was 43 terabytes. I assume it would have risen to 80 terabytes or more, but at that time it was 43 terabytes. So it was huge database. They used to run midnight. They used to run some jobs which used to generate 100 GB of archives within a minute as well. I have seen that. So that huge, the database was so huge. So you can understand data guard cannot cope up with that kind of archive generation, right? Means it can cope, of course, but there will be huge delay in applying the data to that. So what I did analysis for them. Okay, I found out that during daytime, because it was banking, lot of reporting jobs runs on primary database, due to which the performance of primary database is reduced because it consumes a lot of memory, and as a result the OLTP transactions were getting hampered. So what I suggested to them at that time was, like, let us create a parallel database, because GoldenGate at that time it wasn't that popular. I knew about, like, I was working on GoldenGate, so I knew GoldenGate compatibility, but to a customer they were susceptible and they were not ready to accept change that much. So what I suggested to them, that let us build a parallel database, and using GoldenGate will replicate the data parallelly to target. And at that time they were losing almost 5 crore rupees a day due to some fraud transaction or due to this issue. So what I suggested is, like, let us create a parallel database, and using GoldenGate we'll replicate the data and we'll shift our reporting jobs to their secondary database. Once the project was completed, of course, we did POC. It took almost 1.5 year for that project because it's a government bank and things are not smooth. But yeah, it took 1.5 years to set up everything. Once we set up their primary database getting replicated to Hyderabad secondary, means secondary database, which is replicating using GoldenGate, they shifted all their reporting jobs to Hyderabad server. and you won't believe, like, the performance and all the customer dissatisfaction was gone after that. So this, you can use secondary server for real-time data access for reporting, because GoldenGate is a real-time replication tool. Now, real-time means there may be a delay of 5 seconds or 8 seconds, but that is acceptable for reporting. Okay, real-time data for business intelligence. So guys, I wanted to, like, sorry, I took 5 to 6 minutes of time to explain, but yeah, I wanted to let you know, like, the advantage of this. So that's why. So real-time data for business intelligence, EPM, Exadata. So GoldenGate along with Informatica or ODI is one of the best business intelligence tool available in the market. So you can use GoldenGate for real-time data for business intelligence, EPM or Exadata. Then GoldenGate also supports zero-time migration and upgradation. So nowadays there are migration happening from cloud to, or on-prem to cloud. So a lot of organizations are moving themselves from on-prem to cloud. So GoldenGate supports zero downtime upgradation and migration. Organizations are using this GoldenGate a lot for this zero downtime upgradation and migration. They just buy license because license is costly, right? So what they do is they just buy license for 1 month or 2 months, or for the duration they have to do the migration. Okay, and then they use GoldenGate for zero downtime upgradation and migration. So GoldenGate is used by all top commercial banks, all busiest ATM networks, financial data service, telecommunication provider, food and drug stores. So this list which I'm telling you is about 4 5 years, 6 years or 7 years back list. Now most of the bank are using GoldenGate. So GoldenGate ensures databases are highly available. It supports zero downtime upgradation and migration, live reporting and business intelligence. So GoldenGate supports multiple databases. The list includes these. Along with that, it has no databases as well. The list is keep evolving, is getting evolved a lot now. So it supports your Informix database, it supports your Teradata, Ingest, Nscribe, all the database. It supports these platforms along with that other platforms as well, like Windows, Linux, and Solaris, HP, different versions, IBM, and other platforms. So this is about introduction to GoldenGate. Anyone has any question? Then we'll move to the next topic, which is architectural. Different architectures available with GoldenGate. So any question from anyone related to introduction to GoldenGate? Okay. So let us move forward and let us discuss about architectural overview, like different types of architectures available in GoldenGate. So there are two types of architecture available in GoldenGate. One is classic architecture and second is microservices architecture. So GoldenGate, as I told you, was founded in 1995 and it was named after famous San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. In 2009, Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle Golden Gate. Now from 2009 to 2017, there was only one way to configure Golden Gate, which many of you may be using in your environment. That is GGSCI, right? So GGSCI is command prompt of Golden Gate. So until 2017, it was called as Golden Gate. In 2017, Oracle renamed it to Classic Architecture. So remember guys, one thing, in Golden Gate or Oracle Golden Gate terminology, classic means traditional. Okay. So that GGSCI based architecture is now called as classic architecture. So classic architecture allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure Golden Gate through GGSCI command. In 2017, that is from OGG 12.3 onwards, Oracle launched another architecture of GoldenGate, which is called as Microservices Architecture. It's a REST API based architecture and allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure GoldenGate through GUI. So you have two types of architecture available now. One is classic architecture and second is microservices architecture. So these are two types of architectures available in Oracle GoldenGate. Now still classic architecture is the most dominant player in the market. Like if you go out into the market, 80 to 85% of organizations use classic. In fact, when I go to any organization nowadays, I still see classic. Means around couple of years back, I used to see 4 or 5 microservices. If I'm working on 100 implementation, I used to see 4 or 5 microservices. But nowadays, I don't know why. Like I see most of the almost every organization is using classic. So I would say the classic architecture is being used by 80 to 85% as per the data released last year by Oracle. Microservices is used by 15 to 20% of organizations as of now. Also, until Oracle Gold, so this classic architecture is available for since beginning. It is available for Oracle as well as non-Oracle databases. Okay, microservices architecture until 19C GoldenGate was available only with Oracle databases. However, from 21C GoldenGate onwards, it is available for Oracle and 5 more databases, which includes DB2, MySQL, SQL Server, Informix, and I think Postgres. So until 19C, if you have to set up GoldenGate, you can only use classic, that is GGSCL. From 21C onwards, it is available for Oracle and 5 more databases which are listed in this, which are listed here. Now, another thing I want to tell you is from GoldenGate 21C, classic architecture from 21C onwards, classic architecture is deprecated. That means that no new feature of GoldenGate will be released for classic. It is not desupported. That means you can still use classic and it will be supported. Only thing is classic is getting deprecated. That means no new feature is getting introduced for classic as of from now. So the thing is microservices is going to be the future of GoldenGate. So yeah, if you go out into the market, you see classic, at least for a couple of years, that's okay. But after a couple of years, I do see there would be trend changing, because see, if something is getting deprecated, okay, then people will upgrade themselves to different architecture. Okay, so microservices is future of GoldenGate, but still classic architecture, as I told, is dominant player in the market, and microservices is newbie, and microservices will take some time, but yeah, definitely after 2-3 years you will see microservices. You should see microservices being used more than it is being used. Okay, then there is one more product, and so okay, one question to everyone: do you see, means does anyone have that question, with the introduction of microservices, integrated is no longer being used? Anyone has that question? So with the introduction of microservices, this integrated is no longer used. Okay, I'll answer that question in the next slide. This question will be answered to you in next few minutes. Okay, so there is, before we proceed, I want to discuss about Veridata. So there is one more product in GoldenGate family which is called as Veridata. Have you heard about Veridata? So there is one more product in GoldenGate family which is called as Veridata. So Veridata, as the name suggests, it verifies the data for you. Veridata verifies the data for you. So say for example, on source, you have 10,000 records in a table. On target, you have 9,000 records in a table. So what Veridata can do for you is it can verify the data for you. So Veridata is a product which is used to find data discrepancies between two objects, and it can repair them as well. So Veridata is getting, another thing is Veridata nowadays is widely used for migration. So upon migration, organizations want to confirm whether their data is in sync or not upon migration. So they use Veridata to confirm that. So GoldenGate family includes three things: classic architecture, microservices, and Veridata. So if you go out into the market for any job, any interview, or in fact GoldenGate certification as well, any question or any job support or any certification query, any interview question will come either from classic and or microservices and or Veridata. Okay. Okay, so there are two types of architecture. One is classic, second is microservices. Now in GoldenGate, you have different types of extracts and replicats. Now that question will be answered, like what is extract, what is replicat, in next few minutes. But just for those who have that question, that with the introduction of microservices, integrated is not being used. So there are different types of extracts and replicats available in GoldenGate. So the integrated is type of extract or replicat. So many people have that question or have that understanding that with the introduction of microservices, integrated is no longer being used. That is not correct. The thing is, with the introduction of microservices, so sorry, with the introduction of microservices, so we have an additional architecture in GoldenGate. Now in GoldenGate, whether it is classic or microservices, you have different types of extracts available. You have different types of replicat available. So when we talk about integrated one, that means integrated is type of GoldenGate extract. And when we talk about microservices, it means that it is type of GoldenGate architecture. Okay. So different types of GoldenGate extracts available are integrated extract and classic extract. So classic extract is available since beginning of GoldenGate. Integrated extract is available from GoldenGate version 11.2.0.4, and for that minimum database version should be 11.2.0.3. So if your database version and GoldenGate version is this, you can use this integrated extract. Otherwise, you have to use classic extract.
Ashish, one question. Sorry to interrupt.
Abhishek, I will give. Wait. If you, so there are two types of extract: integrated extract and classic extract. Now there are different types of replicats available as well. What are different types of extract? So extract, you will understand when we move forward. Extract extracts the data from source database, and replicat process applies the data. So the extract process is responsible for extracting the change data from source database, and replicat process is responsible for applying the data to the target database. So there are four types of replicats available: non-integrated or classic replicat, which is available since beginning of GoldenGate. Then integrated replicat was introduced in GoldenGate version 12.1 and database 12c. Then coordinated replicat, which basically parallelize your classic replicat. So coordinated replicat create multiple threads. So it was introduced in GoldenGate version 12.2. And then the latest replicat was introduced from GoldenGate version 12.3, which is parallel Replicat, and it is very much faster. So there are two types of parallel Replicat: parallel non-integrated Replicat and parallel integrated Replicat. So these are different types of extracts and replicates. So we'll be configuring in GoldenGate as the session move forward. So we'll be discussing about different types of replicate, different types of extracts. So the people who have that question, the purpose of this slide is to make them understand that with introduction. So there are two types of architecture: classic and microservices. Under classic architecture, you have different types of extracts like integrated and classic. Under microservices, you have different types of extracts, integrated and classic. Similarly, under classic, you have different types of replicates: non-integrated, integrated, coordinated, and parallel replicate. Same way, under microservices, you have different types of replicates: non-integrated, integrated, coordinated, and parallel replicate. Okay? Yeah, Abhishek.
Ashish, just confused with this word extract. What are we talking about? A process that is being used in the Golden Gate, or extract is about the data which is, I mean, being taken from the source database? What
This
the word
question,
extract is?
so this question will be answered for you in the next slide. Okay?
Okay.
Anyone else has any question? Guys, I again repeat. So okay. Before I proceed, that is very good point, Abhishek, what you mentioned. So whatever we are talking about here, so extract, or you will hear the terminology data pump, or you will hear the terminology checkpoint. So there are few terms which you can refer to some other technology or some other from Oracle database. So the thing is, whenever we are talking about anything related, any particular term, it means that it is related to Golden Gate until and unless I specify that it refers to database or it refers to something else. So the answer to your question is it relates to Golden Gate. But what is extract? This will be answered to you in the next slide. So the reason why I introduced this slide here is I know some people get confused that with the introduction of microservices, integrated is no longer being used. So just to let them know, there are two types of architecture: classic and microservices, and there are different types of extracts and replicates. So integrated is type of extract and type of replicate. So the thing is, classic in Golden Gate means it's a traditional one which was introduced which was there since beginning, and now the latest architecture is microservices, and the new extract which was introduced, the latest extract which was introduced was integrated extract. So any question from anyone? Otherwise, we'll move to now architecture of Oracle Golden Gate. Okay, let us move forward now. So now we are going to discuss about architecture of Oracle Golden Gate. So guys, remember, this architecture what we are discussing right now is the most critical part in Golden Gate. If you understand this architecture and if you can follow this architecture, 50% of work you have done. Like we always say in Oracle database as well. When I started learning Oracle database first, uh, my teacher also said same thing to me. If you have understood this Oracle database architecture, you have learned 50 or 75% of Oracle database. Same thing I always say with Golden Gate as well. Now the difference between Oracle database architecture and Oracle Golden Gate architecture is Oracle Golden Gate architecture is much simpler than database. So the way Golden Gate architecture works, and or if you look at the Golden Gate architecture, you can design your Golden Gate by looking at that. You can troubleshoot Golden Gate. You can set up Golden Gate. So all the tasks could be done through architecture only. So let us discuss about architecture of Oracle Golden Gate. So you have a source database and target database. Your source database can be Oracle or any supported non-Oracle database. Same way, your target database can be Oracle or any supported non-Oracle database. Okay, so each database has its own transaction logs. So in case of Oracle, these transaction logs are called as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. Now, whatever changes you make to the database, those changes will be recorded into transaction logs of the database. Now, once those changes are recorded into the transaction logs of the database, there is GoldenGate capture process, which is also called as GoldenGate extract process, which we were discussing in the previous slide. So there is GoldenGate capture or extract process, which captures the data from the transaction logs upon reading the transaction logs, but it captures only committed transactions. So as I told, the transaction logs will contain committed as well as uncommitted transactions. So this capture or extract process will capture only committed transactions and write them to the trail file on operating system, which are called as local trail. So this capture or extract process. So remember guys, one thing, when we move forward, there are two terms, capture and delivery. So capture process and extract process are used interchangeably. So if I'm saying capture or if I'm saying extract, that means same. In the same way, when I'm saying delivery or when I'm saying Replicat, it also means same. So GoldenGate capture process extracts the data from the source database. Upon reading the transaction log, captures only committed transactions. Once the transactions are captured, it writes them to the trail files on local machine, which are called as local trail. So the trail file which resides on source server are called as local trail. So these trail files are the storage of data which are captured by the extract process. So these trail files are the storage. They works as a storage because capture process captures. Now they have to write it to somewhere, right? So they write them to the trail file. So the format of these trail files are their binary format files, and they reside on operating system. Just like your archive log, they reside on your operating system. That means they consume space on the operating system. So capture process captures the committed transaction, writes them to the trail file on local machine. Once the data becomes available into these trail files, you have GoldenGate data pump process. Data pump process means it pumps the data from source to target. So what is the work of pump process here? Pump process reads the data from trail file on local machine. So these are called as local trail. So trail file which resides on source database, they are called as local trail. Okay, so pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network, and writes it to trail file on target machine. It writes it to trail file on target machine. So these trail files on target machines are called as remote trail. I again repeat, trail files on local machine are called as local trail. Trail files on remote machine, that is on target machine, because they are remote to this server, so they are called as remote trail. So pump process reads the data. What the work of pump process is to pump the data from source to target. So pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network, and writes it to trail file on target, which is called as remote trail file. Once the data becomes available into remote trail, there is a delivery process which is also called as Replicat process, which reads the data from remote trail and applies it to target database. So there are three processes involved in GoldenGate replication. These are the only three processes which are involved in GoldenGate replication. First is capture, which is also called as extract process. Second is pump, which is data pump process. This is GoldenGate data pump. As I told, it has nothing to do with database data pump. This is GoldenGate data pump. So pump here means it pumps the data or sends the data from source to target. So it reads the data from local trail at source and writes it to remote trail on target database. Once the data becomes available, into the remote trail, the delivery or Replicat process reads the data from remote trail and apply it to target database. So these are the three processes which are responsible for GOldengate replication. I would again repeat to make it understand better. So you have source database and target database. So on a source database, whatever application make changes, whatever changes application makes, the changes return to the transaction logs. Now there is GOldengate extract process which you configure. Once it is configured, it reads the data from the transaction logs and captures the committed transactions. Once the transactions are captured, it writes them to the local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail file, immediately data pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to trail file on target, which is called as remote trail file. Once the data becomes available into remote trail file, the delivery or Replicat process reads the data from remote trail and apply it to target database. Now we say GOldengate is a real-time replication tool. We always say GOldengate is a real-time replication tool. So how does GOldengate ensure that it's a real-time data replication tool? The reason for it is it doesn't send the trail file over TCP/IP network. So you see pump process, you see it is sending the data from the trail file. So the thing is, pump process doesn't transfer the trail file from source to target. It reads the data from local trail and sends the data over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail on target database. Okay, so this is why GOldengate is real time. It doesn't send the trail file, it sends the data which is there in trail file from source to target. So remember, these trail files, what you see, they reside on operating system. So they will consume space in your operating system. Remember one thing, GOldengate is platform independent. So these trail files are platform independent basically. So that means the format of these trail files, sorry, GOldengate is platform dependent. Obviously, binaries are platform dependent, but these trail files are platform independent. That means that the format of the trail file, whether you generate on Windows, Linux, Sun, Solaris, HP, or any other platform, the format of trail file will always remain same. So it's not like for Windows platform it will generate different format trail file, or for any other platform it will generate different format trail file. Now the format of trail file will always remain same, whether it is for Windows, Sun, Solaris, Linux, or any other platform. So capture process captures the data upon reading the transaction logs of the database, writes it to local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail, data pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail. Once the data becomes available into remote trail, the delivery or Replicat process applies the data to the target database. Now another thing is GOldengate works in bi-directional environment. Bi-directional means both the sites could be live. Application could be connected to site 1 as well as site 2. So whatever transactions are happening on site 1, they will be replicated to site 2 using GOldengate. Similarly, whatever transactions are happening on site 2, they will be replicated using GOldengate to site 2 as well. So GOldengate is a product which works in bidirectional environment. So now I always say one thing, bidirectional is nothing but two-way unidirectional. So you have, so you had this site 1, you have this site 1, and you have this site 2. So site 1 to site 2 replication is already configured. Now you will configure another replication from site 2 to site 1. So now site 2 will act as source. So site 2 will have its own transaction logs. Whatever changes are happening on site 2, those changes will be, you will have GOldengate extract process configure over here. This extract process will read the data from transaction logs of the database, capture the data and write it to local trail on site 2. Once the data becomes available into local trail, pump process configured on site 2 will read the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail on site 1. Once the data becomes available into remote trail on site 1, the Replicat process or delivery process configured over here will apply the data to site 1 upon reading the remote trail file. So the thing is, each process in GOldengate is independent of each other. So capture process is independent of pump and delivery. Similarly, another thing, if you see, this process flow is different. So site 1 to site 2. Sorry. How can I relay? Just 1 minute. Okay. Okay. So each process here, so this capture process has nothing to do with this delivery. So the process data flow is capture process, pump process. So capture process on site 1, pump process on site 1 have a corresponding Replicat process on site 2. Similarly, the capture process and pump process configured on site 2 have a corresponding Replicat or delivery process on site 1. So these are completely independent. These flows are completely independent of each other. So I always say one thing, bidirectional is nothing but two-way unidirectional with some consideration. With some consideration. So this is about GOldengate architecture. So again, let us move forward quickly. So you will see now how the data flow happens. So guys, this is really very important. When you understand this architecture, most of the queries related. So when we set up GOldengate, so next task we'll be doing is installation and then we'll be doing the setting up. So you'll see, we'll just follow the architecture. So GOldengate capture or extract process captures the committed transaction, writes them to the trail file on local machine, which are called as local trail. Now these local trail files or any trail file consume space on your operating system. Then you configure GOldengate pump process, which distributes the data to the target and writes them to the remote trail file on target machine. Once the data becomes available into remote trail, the delivery or Replicat process applies it to target database. Okay, so this capture process is also called as extract process. So once we do the configuration, you will see this will be the extract and this will be Replicat. So during the training, whenever we say capture or extract, it means same way. Delivery or Replicat means same. We'll be using the term extract and Replicat basically. We generally only during discussing architecture we discuss capture and delivery. Otherwise, extract process is responsible for extracting the data or capturing the data. Replicat process is responsible for delivering the data or replicating the data to target database. Okay, now we discussed that there are two types of extracts. One is integrated extract and second is classic extract. Right?
Hello, Ashish.
There are. Yeah, Pankaj, you can
Day1
post.
captain.
Yeah, Pankaj, I'll give you a chance. Just if you have question, you can post in chat. Otherwise, I'll give you a chance to ask your query. Just let me complete. So you have, I discussed earlier that there are two types of extract. One is integrated and second is classic. Now, from GOldengate version 11 to 04, this integrated capture was introduced as well. So what is this integrated capture? What is the difference between classic and integrated one? Let me tell you. So what happens in integrated capture is you have got source database. So whatever changes are happening, those changes are getting returned to your redo logs or archive logs. Now what happens is when you create an integrated capture, a copy of those changes, whatever changes you are getting returned to redo logs or archive log, a parallel log miner database gets created at the database level. So when you create an integrated capture, you will see that log miner build will happen. So log miner database will be built at the database level, which will be the copy of your online redo and archive logs. Now what happens is log miner then passes on the changes to the integrated extract in form of LCR. So in case this is classic, so in classic extract, what happens is the classic extract establishes the connectivity with the database, source database, and then it it reads the data from the redo logs or archive logs. It basically reads the transaction from the transaction logs one by one. So here capture process is establishing the connectivity with source database, and then it reads the data upon reading the transaction logs. In case of integrated capture, what happens is integrated extract, there is a log miner database which gets built. So whatever changes are getting returned to redo logs, the copy of those changes gets returned to log miner databases. Now whatever changes are needed by the extract process, log miner passes on those changes in form of LCR. LCR stands for logical change records. LCR stands for logical change records. So log miner passes on the changes to the extract process in form of LCR. So that is the difference between integrated capture. So the difference between integrated capture and classic capture is here the task of filtering the data or whatever changes is needed by extract process, it is done by classic extract. However, in integrated extract, the same task is done by log miner. So extract process is not directly connect, like it is not, so you see the arrow. So log miner is passing on the changes which are needed by the extract process in form of LCR. Now the thing is, this integrated extract is fast, almost 5 times faster than classic extract. How can it be? Now if you look at this architecture over here, so this capture process is connecting to the source database directly and it is reading the data. However, here in integrated capture, there is one more layer in between of extract and online redo logs. There is one more layer in between, which is log miner. So how come this integrated capture can be faster than this classic extract? Anyone has any idea? First of all, did you get my question?
Yeah, we understood the question, but no idea why.
I again repeat the question for those who didn't understand, and I want whatever you think, what could be the reason, just answer. So my question is, you have two types of extract, classic and integrated. So this is classic. So classic extract, what it does is establishes the connectivity directly with the source database. Okay, it reads the transaction logs and then writes it to local trail. However, in integrated one, extract process doesn't establishes the connectivity with the redo logs. The copy of the changes gets recorded into log miner database, and then log miner is internal to database, guys. It's not like the separate database in some other server or same server is getting built. No, log miner is, you must have heard the term, like you use log miner to mine the archive log, so it is same. So internally it is an internal build. Don't worry, you don't have to create anything separately. It happens automatically. But just to understand the architecture, you should know what is integrated capture. So here in integrated capture, the extract process, the whatever the copy of the online redo logs gets created as a log miner, and then log miner passes on the changes to the extract process in form of LCR. So my question, one thing which I told you is integrated capture is latest capture, and it is much faster. It is almost 5 times faster than your classic capture. But my question is, like, if you see this architecture, the classic extract is directly establishing the connectivity with source database, and here in you have one more layer in between of log miner. So how come, means as a layman, if we think and if we look at the architecture, and if someone asks us the question, the classic architecture should be faster than integrated one, but no, integrated capture is 5 times faster than classic. How come is it possible? Does anyone have any idea about it?
Yeah,
Any?
Ashish, for the classic architecture, I mean, there would be tons of records, right? So I think classic will have to scroll through each, I mean, entire transaction log and locate corresponding table entries. However, I think for integrated, log miner does that on behalf of the extract work, right?
Right. Correct
So,
answer.
one more, as per my thinking, is there is a rollback, and in case if there is a heavy transaction and happening, then in that case the classic architecture will become slow, whereas the log miner will send refined logs. As per my thinking, so that would be
So
one of the
what?
reasons. Case of
Uh,
rollback happening there.
so what Darpan answered is somewhat correct. So what you are answering, Abhishek, you are not 100% correct, but yeah, you are, I would say, 50-60% correct. So I'll answer this for you. Like you were close, Abhishek, but not the exact answer. But Darpan, yeah,
But
he gave the
Oracle
exact
Golden
answer.
Gate reads only committed transactions, right? So
Correct.
rollback doesn't come in this thing.
So I'll tell you here. So yeah, absolutely, Ajay. So Golden Gate captures only committed transaction, so it doesn't matter whether it is committed or rollback. So it doesn't capture at all any transaction which is not committed at all. So I'll answer this for you. So suppose you have got, so your transaction logs contains 1,000 records. It contains 1,000 records for sys. So consider your Golden Gate extract process has to extract the data for two tables, department table and employee table from the database. Okay, it has to capture the data for these two tables from the database. Now in the transaction logs, there are 1,000 records for sys, because transaction log will contain logs for all the schemas. So it has 1,000 records for sys schema. It has 10,000 records for system schema. It has 20,000 records for some other, so the some other HR schema. HR, it has some other 20,000 records for some other table like XYZ table, and then there are 2 records for department and 2 records for employee table. Okay, now in case of classic capture, what will happen is it reads the transaction log sequentially. So in case of classic capture or classic extract, what it will do is it will first read these 1,000, because it has to capture the data of only these two tables, right? But transaction log will contain the information for all the schemas and all the tables of the database. So it has to read these 1,000 records, right? Then it needs to read these 10,000 records for system, but it won't capture. Then it has to read these 20,000 records for XYZ table. After that, it will come across 2 records for department and 2 records for employees. So prior to it could reach these 4 records which are intended to be captured by the extract process, it has to process these 31,000 records which it doesn't have to capture. So that will take time. So classic capture reads the transaction logs in sequential manner. In case of integrated capture, what happens is the same task of filtering out the data, whatever filtration, like reading these 1,000 sys records, 1,000 system records, or XYZ table, it is basically done by the log miner, which is internal to the database. So the thing is, here the classic capture is there. Classic capture is external to the database, and it is reading these transactions which are not needed by the extract process. However, in integrated capture, same task which is being done, which has to be done, same task this log miner is doing, but because it is internal to database, it is much faster than what classic capture is. So that is why your integrated capture is faster than classic capture. Another thing is, the architecture of integrated capture looks like this. So in integrated capture, whenever you configure any integrated capture, there are 4 processes which are created at the database level. First is a reader, preparer, builder, and capture. So internally all these runs, which makes integrated capture much faster. So first, so this is the architecture of integrated capture. So when you zoom into integrated capture, this comes. So in the first, the data is read, then prepared, then built, and then it is captured and sent to the extract process. So internally, these many processes are working, and they are making it faster than your classic capture. Okay, so there are 2 types of extract or capture, classic and integrated. Classic capture is now somewhat not used at almost, because the thing is, from GOldengate version 11.204 and database 11.203, integrated is supported, and integrated, so most I don't think, like, in this whole Oracle, means whoever is using Oracle, there may be only 3 or 5% organizations who are using database lesser than 11.203. So, and if they are using it, they are not using GOldengate. So that is why this integrated capture is being used nowadays at almost every place. If they are using Oracle database, if they are using non-Oracle database, then yes, it is still classic. Okay, and integrated extract is much faster, and it has very less impact. So we discussed one point, right? GOldengate has impact on database, right? So there is very less impact nowadays with this integrated capture. So classic capture used to have some impact on database, but with the introduction of integrated, that impact has been reduced to 10%. Okay, so Abhishek is saying we are using version 10 also. Okay, I think then you may not be using GOldengate if you are using database version 10, because it is anyways de-supported, and GOldengate 11G also doesn't work on. I'm not sure if GOldengate 11G work on database 10G, but I believe you won't be using GOldengate in any case for version 10G.
Yes, we're using SharePlex environment
You're
for
using
that.
SharePlex over there? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. One question is there from Pankaj. Why extract and data pump both required? So the answer to this question, Pankaj, is I'll be discussing that later on. But the thing is, pump is used for, I don't want to answer it now. I'll answer Pankaj that question later, because we haven't configured anything or we haven't moved forward yet. So I would, because others are there, and so you are correct. So what Pankaj is saying, like, the question is absolutely valid. But why extract and data pump both are required? Why can't extract work by capturing the data and writing the data to remote trail? So that is also possible, but I'm not going to discuss it now, or I'm not going to get others confused with that, because we are just starting with that. So please hold on to your query for next 1 or 2 sessions. It will be answered. I'll answer that to you. Okay. So it can also send data to target database. We are using Word. Okay. Govardhan has a question. How many trail file available, or it only one on server? What is size of trail file? So there are multiple trail files which gets created. By default, the size of the trail file is 500 MB. Again, that question will be more clear to you when we do the setup. So the answer to your question is there are multiple trail file which gets created. So each trail file size is by default 500 MB. So once it gets full, automatically then switch rollover happens. But yeah, how it happens, everything will be clear to you when we do the setup. How is that size of trail file determined? So you can, the size of the maximum size of a trail file can be 100 MB. So sorry, 10 GB. Okay. And by default, the size of the trail file is 500 MB. So you can increase or decrease. I suggest you to like keep the size of the trail file by default. If you don't have to, means by default it is 500 MB. If there is no obvious reason to change, don't change it. If you have any reason, then you can change. Okay, so Nikhil has a question, like if you can quickly repeat the integrated architecture. Okay, so integrated architecture, integrated, it's I again repeat guys, it's not integrated architecture, it is integrated extract or Replicat. So what happens is in integrated extract, the source database, the whatever changes happens to the database, they gets returned to the redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are archive logs. Now the copy of those changes gets returned to the log miner database. So automatic log miner build happens when you create the integrated extract. You don't have to do anything extra. You will see when you do the setup. Now, whenever any change happens, log miner passes on the changes needed by the extract process in form of LCR. LCR stands for logical change record. So once extract receives the changes from log miner, it writes them to the local trail, and then data pump process reads the data from local trail and writes it to target data. So log miner is part of the database, guys. It's not GOldengate, it's part of the database. You must have heard the term like how do you read the archive logs of the database? You use log miner to do that. So same thing, same log miner it is. So log miner is internal to database. Because it is internal to database, that's the reason this integrated capture is faster than classic extract. Okay. So next is we are going to discuss about installation of Oracle GOldengate. So any question from anyone related to architecture or anything before we move forward?
Hello.
Okay, so Funny has a question. Redo log contains both committed and uncommitted data. How come extract only captures committed data? So it knows each transaction. So Funny, internally, when the data is written into the database, there are a lot of things, tags and different things assigned to it. So it knows internally. Okay, Lad has a question, very good question. Does integrated extract work in heterogeneous databases only? The answer to this question is integrated extract is available only with Oracle. It is not available with any other database. So integrated extract works only with Oracle data. Yeah, someone had a question.
Yeah, hello Ashish.
Yeah.
In the diagram, we have seen that the integrated capture, the log miner, does the log miner reads the online and redo log files and create some files at the OS level?
No. It doesn't create anything at OS level. It is internal. Everything is internal. So
Okay,
you will see like how when we configure GOldengate process, you will see the log miner build and everything. But everything is internal. Nothing is external in that.
fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So now we are going to discuss about installation of Oracle GOldengate. So how do we install GOldengate? and what are the things to consider. We'll discuss about that. So for GoldenGate installation, we are going to use the virtual boxes, which are also shared with you or will be shared with you if not shared by now. So these virtual boxes, we are going to use GoldenGate to install. So before you proceed to install GoldenGate, there are few things which you need to keep in mind. What are those things? Let us discuss about those stuff. So say for example, you have been given a task to do the setup of GoldenGate. So before you do the setup, there are few things which you need to provide details to your organization. How do you set up GoldenGate? So I'll tell you one thing. The purpose of this training, what my vision is to make you is like you should be able to work as architect along with GoldenGate expert. So there are few things you need to keep in mind before you, like when there are any new GoldenGate requirements coming up in your environment. So there will be few things which would be asked from you, like what are the hardware requirements for setting up Oracle GoldenGate? What would be the hardware requirement? So first thing would be memory, like CPU and cores. CPU cores you need. Second thing you would need for GoldenGate would be space. So mount point you will need. Then third thing you have to consider is which user you are going to use to install GoldenGate. It could be either Oracle user you can use or any other user like GG admin or GG user you can use to install GoldenGate. So you have to work on all these things before you proceed to install, right? So few things what you need to consider is, because say for example, golden there is a new requirement of GoldenGate in your project, and you are not using GoldenGate right now. So first thing would be, if you need to use it on existing GoldenGate or existing database server, so do you need to increase any CPU? So how much CPU cores GoldenGate need? How much CPU cores you need for GoldenGate to run on? So minimum when I request 4 or 8 CPUs for GoldenGate. Minimum 4 or 8 CPUs, because see, GoldenGate can work on 1 or 2 CPU as well, to be very honest. But in production, data, and you don't know in future how many applications are they going to add, how many databases, how many processes they are going to add. So that's why request for more, and then you see. So I always request for either 4 or 8 CPUs. Second thing is how much space you need. How will you calculate the space for GoldenGate? So you will need a separate mount point, or you can use existing mount point. So for GoldenGate, either you can use any existing mount point or request separate mount point or new mount point, like /GoldenGate you can do. Or you can use existing mount point like U01. You can also do that. So you have to decide what kind of mount point you are using. Now in that, you will also need space for GoldenGate, right? So today, say means if it's a new mount point or if it's the existing mount point, GoldenGate trail files will consume the space, as I told you, right? These trail files, when they are created on source or target server, like local trail or remote trail, they consume space. They consume your operating system hard disk space. In that case, how much space you need? How will you calculate that? Now for calculation, I'll tell you what criteria is. So for calculation purpose, analysis is really very important. Analyzing the database, DB analysis is important. So for calculating the space mount point, what I do is I won't call it DB analysis. DB analysis will come into picture when we do the process creation. So DB analysis. So in this scenario for space calculation, what I do is I do calculate, or I do analyze last 30 days archive log generation report. So I take out last 30 days archive log generation report. Now in last 30 days, so what we do is as a general policy, we first of all define how long we need to keep the trail files, for how long we need to keep the data. Just like archive logs at the database level, we regular purge, or we do the housekeeping of archive logs, right? We regularly do the housekeeping of our archive logs at the database level, so we remove them from the server. In the same way, these trail files needs to be purged from the system, otherwise they will consume operating system disk. So we first of all need to decide for how long we need to keep the trail file. So we need to get the agreement with project, like how many days they need to keep the trail file for. They need to keep the trail file for 5 days, they need to keep the trail file for 10 days or 7 days. As an average or as a policy, we keep 7 days data in trail file. So we keep 7 days data. So as an agreement or best practice, we keep 7 days trail files. Okay, now if some project needs more, you can keep more trail files, or if say for example you have space constraint, you can reduce this, or if it's UAT or non-prod environment, you can definitely reduce it. But as a general policy, we keep 7 days trail. Now what we do in last 30 days, we analyze the archive log generation report, and we analyze like what was the maximum archive log generation in last 30 days. Now suppose someday it could be 1 GB archive log, someday it could be 4 GB, someday it could be 10 GB. But last 30 days, whatever was maximum archive log generation, I'll find that out. So suppose the maximum archive log generation in last 30 days in a single day was 25 GB, suppose. So what I'll do, I will consider that maximum 25 GB, and I'll keep this as a threshold. I'll see that 25 GB will be generated per day. So we need to keep 25 into 7. 25 into 7 is 175 GB. We need minimum 175 GB of space. Suppose based on last 30 days, all 7 days you have maximum archive log generation. So minimum we need 175 GB. Now while requesting for the space from the project, I multiply it by 3 or 4 times. I multiply it by 3 or 4 times. So when requesting for space, I request for 600 or 700 GB of mount point space. The reason is, now you may say, why do I need this much space if I see that only 175 GB, and that too I'm going with maximum archive log generation? The reason is, see, you have to consider future as well. You have to take into account next 5 years. Your database is definitely going to grow, right? And another thing is, suppose today you have 25 GB maximum in last 30 days. If you go to last 1 year, you may find that the maximum archive log generation in a single day may be 50 GB as well. So you are covering all the bases in that case. Okay, so you will request 500 to 700 GB of mount point space, which will include GOldengate software and trail files. GOldengate software is less than 1 GB. It doesn't consume much space, so you don't have to worry about that. And other trail file, there are sometimes some other logs which gets generated, so you need this space. Now the thing is, you can like some project allows you what you provide, what information you provide, they will grant you this much mount point. Some project will not be that easy. So you can do bargaining on this, right? You have sufficient, you have requested for additional space. So you can like ask for 700, minimum you'll get 400 or 500 GB, right? So that's the way you do the calculation for that. Now, each person has its own calculation. Like it's not a regular, means it's someone may follow different calculation strategy. I follow this calculation strategy, and this is what I'm telling you. Okay, so you will need to define how much memory CPU you need, how much CPU you need, how much space you need for installing GoldenGate, and then third thing which you would need to decide is whether you need to install GoldenGate with Oracle or some other user, GGate or some other user. So the thing is, some organizations, they have different DBAs and different team for GoldenGate. If you have different team for GoldenGate, in that case use separate user. So if DBA and GoldenGate teams are different, in that case use separate user to install GoldenGate. Now if DBA team is managing GoldenGate, then you can use Oracle user. So use separate user. That user should be part of co-install group. So whatever user you are using, that user should be part of co-install group. And Oracle, when you use Oracle group, it anyways would be part of DBA and co-install OS group, right? So these are the few things you need to consider or you need to keep in mind when you are asked to set up GoldenGate for the first time in your environment. You need to keep all these things in mind. You have to decide all these things. So first thing is how much memory, second thing is how much space you need, third thing is which user you will use to install GoldenGate. Okay, any question on this part, anyone, before I move forward? So next part I'll be moving forward with the certification matrix and installation. Okay, so now next thing is, once you have decided all these things, before proceeding to install, now you have to note down to before proceeding to install, you have to note down few things. What are those things? Source DB source DB type and version, source database platform, similarly target DB type and version, and target DB server platform. You have to note these things down before you proceed to install. Why we need to do, I'll tell you. So in our case, we have got GGate, we have got two machines, GGate 1 and GGate 2. So GGate 1, we have Oracle database and database version is 12.2, and the platform is uname-a. The platform is Linux x86-64, and it is Enterprise Linux 6 which we are using. It is Enterprise Linux 6. So we have source database version is type is Oracle 12.2. So it's Oracle database type and version Oracle 12.2, and source DB platform is Linux x86-64 Enterprise Linux 6. In our source and target are same. So source and target GGate 2, which will be acting as target as well. So it is also same. So uname-a, so it is same, and source database type and version is also. So sorry, target is means both are exactly same in our case. If it's different, so As I told you, your source and target can be different database type, version, and different platform. Okay, so once you have noted that down, x86 underscore 64 enterprise Linux 6. Once you have noted it down, next thing is you need to check the certification matrix of GoldenGate, which supports your database type, version, and platform. So before you can download GoldenGate binaries, you need to check the certification matrix for that. How do you check certification matrix? Let me show you. So first of all, before checking the certification matrix, you have to download certification matrix. So how do you download certification matrix? So GoldenGate is a fusion middleware product. So fusion middleware certification matrix. So Google out fusion middleware certification matrix. Okay, select the first link. Now here you will find all GoldenGate version certification metrics. 19C, 21C is the latest version. GoldenGate 19C, 18C, 21C. In fact, when you go below, you will find 12C, 12.2, 12.3. In fact, 11G was also there, I saw. 11G R1 GoldenGate certification metric. So you will find the certification metrics for your environment. So we'll check 19C certification metrics. So 21C is the latest version. Now why I'm not doing it on 21C is because it is still under testing. Widely used product is still 19. I'll upgrade my course content soon to 21C once the testing is completed. So for now, we'll check 19C. We'll do the training on 19C. So we'll download the certification matrix on 19C. We'll open it once downloaded. Now this certification matrix will tell you like what all databases it supports, what all platforms it supports, everything it will show it to you. So I'm opening the certification matrix. Let us allow it to open. Okay, so we'll select this GoldenGate. Okay, now this is the certification matrix. So here we'll check, first of all, we'll check this database type. So if you check this GoldenGate 19C supports these databases, like it supports your Amazon Aurora MySQL, Amazon Aurora Postgres, Amazon RDS for MariaDB, MySQL, Oracle Postgres. It supports MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle Timestamp, all these databases it supports. So our database is Oracle. So I'll refine the filter and I'll select only Oracle database. So now here, then I'll change the processor type. Our processor type is Linux x86-64, right? So I'll again refine the search. So you see now, I have got the list. So if you see this 19C GoldenGate, it supports your database version. So we have got a RHEL 6. So this is the one which we are going to use. So it supports GoldenGate release 19.1.0.0.0. It supports Linux x86 64, RHEL6. It supports Oracle database 11.04, 12.1, 12.2 and 18C. So in our case, we are good. The GOldengate version 19C for us because our database version is 12.2 and platform is Linux x86 64 Enterprise Linux 6. So GOldengate 19C will work fine without a issue. So we can use GOldengate 19C. So what I have seen is many people, what they do is, I have seen this issue a lot. What they do is they first download the GOldengate and once they install, it doesn't work because as per certification matrix, it doesn't work. So it doesn't give good impression right in front of someone. So the best practice is check the certification matrix and then proceed to download and then install. So we can check GOldengate 19C supports our environment. If I check 21C, say for example, I want to check 21C certification matrix. Let us see whether 21C supports our environment or not. So let us see that. So for 21C, I'll again refine the search. So this is 21C certification matrix. So I'll select Oracle database here. Then processor is this. So it has automatically. So okay. So 21C is not supported anyways on Enterprise Linux 6. So this 21C would not be supported in our case anyways because 21C for 21C to use your, it only works on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. So if I download 21C now in our virtual box, it won't work at all. The reason being, it is not supported. Okay, so we are going to download GOldengate 19C. So first and foremost thing you have to check is check the certification matrix to ensure that your platform and environment is supported. Okay, so now we'll download the GOldengate binaries. So what I'll do download Oracle GOldengate 19C. It will take us to OTN, Oracle Technology Network. So when you go to Oracle GOldengate download, so you will see binary for 21C, then you will see for 19C as well. So for 19C or any 21C, you can check 21C as well. So you will see some binaries for your environment. You will see one is like the binaries are database specific and they are platform specific. Like this one is Oracle GOldengate 19.1.0.0.4 for Oracle on AIX, and another one is Microservices for Oracle on AIX. What is the difference between the two? First two, can anyone tell me? There are two binaries. What is the difference between the two? Anyone would like to?
One is
First one
for
is
classical architecture, the next one is microservices architecture.
for cloud based.
No, I didn't understand. Can you repeat?
First one is for classical architecture. Another
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. So the one which doesn't have anything, that means it's a classic architecture. So binaries for microservices and classic architecture, they are different. So if you want to use, say for example, classic architecture in your environment, so the binaries for classic architecture are different and the binaries for microservices are different. So the binary, the one which doesn't say anything, that means it's a classic architecture binary. So now But this binary is for AIX. You have to download the binary for your environment, which is Linux x86-64. Now the thing is, I don't see binary for Linux x86-64 here. What to do? I see Solaris. I don't see for Linux. I have for AIX. Okay, this is for Teradata. So I don't see binaries for GOldengate 19C for Oracle database on Linux x86-64. So what should I do? So if you cannot find your binary over here, then you can check your binary or find your binary on edelivery.oracle.com. So there is website edelivery.oracle.com. Here you can find all other binaries which you don't see over there. So you need to have what Oracle account for it. Oops, let me open a new browser then. So software is also available on edelivery.oracle.com. edelivery.oracle.com. So go to eDelivery, search for the software you're looking for. So you can search for like GOldengate here. So here you will find your 19C. Click on 19C. So it will be added to your cart now. Select your cart, view items. Continue. Here you will need to select the platform for which you need Linux x86-64 and then click on continue. And then you can continue and review the agreement, and then you can download the binary. So once you download, it will be downloaded in zipped format for you. So in these virtual boxes, what you have received, the virtual boxes contains the binaries already. So binaries are already downloaded and present on the server for you. Okay, so they are present under u01 /home /oracle /software. So software. So you have got the binaries, all the binaries, classic architecture, microservices, and data binaries are present on GGate 1 and GGate 2 as well once you clone under this location. /home/oracle/software. So you have got binaries, OGG classic 19C binaries, OGG MSA 19C binaries, and Veridata binaries. And other scripts are also present, which we'll be using later on. So now we'll go to this OGG classic 19C binaries. Okay, so once you download the uh, binaries from OTN or e-delivery, it will come in this format, like zipped format. So what you need to do, you need to do unzip. So in our case, guys, what we are going to do, we were discussing about this, right? So we will be using the, for mount point, we are going to use the existing mount point /u01 to install GoldenGate, and we'll use the Oracle user to install GoldenGate in our environment. So we are unzipping the binaries. The password of these virtual boxes is welcome1, W small, everything in small, welcome1. The same binaries you have also received. So the unzipping is still happening. So we have to unzip the binaries both in GGate1 as well as GGate2. We can do in the meanwhile unzipping is happening on GGate1. I can do unzip on GGate2 as well. cd/home/oracle/softwares OGG classic unzip. Unzipping doesn't take this time. Why it's taking so long today? So once unzip is completed, then we'll proceed with installation. So guys, checking the certification metrics, I again repeat, is really very important before you proceed to install GoldenGate in your environment, or in fact before you proceed to download, because it can save the embarrassment later on when you install or when you download or install. It saves a lot of time because you don't have to worry why things are not working, right? So the unzipping has happened. Okay, so the unzipping will happen to this folder. So we'll go to fbo ship home, then we'll go to disk1. So there is run installer. So to install with the GUI, we'll do run installer. Otherwise, if you want to do silent installation, there is a response file here. So you can edit it and do the silent installation as well. If you don't want to do GUI installation, it also works with silent installation as well. So I'll run the installer. Okay. So to run the installer, let us set the display xhost plus. Now I'll run installer. So the installation will start now. So OUI will be popped up. Oracle Universal Installer, which will be GUI based installation we are going to do now. So it is doing like, it checks your temp space, swap space, it checks your display before displaying the GUI. If anything fails, then it won't display. Then GUI won't come. If anything fails, then you won't be able to do any GUI installation. So the OUI, Oracle Universal Installer, is here. Now the thing is, this is really very important part. Now this 19C GoldenGate supports Oracle Database 19C. It supports Oracle Database 18C. It supports Oracle Database 12C, and it supports Oracle Database 11G. So you need to select here. For which database you want to do this GoldenGate installation for. So if this 19C GoldenGate and your source database is 19C, select first option. Otherwise second select. But because our database is 12C, so we'll be selecting this third option. So Oracle GoldenGate for Oracle Database 12C we are going to select because our database is 12.2. Once you have done that, click on next. Click on next. Once you click on next, the next screen will pop up in front of you. So next screen will ask you, where do you want to install this Oracle GoldenGate, like location where this GoldenGate would be installed at, whether this GoldenGate. So as I told you, we are going to use the existing U01 location. So we are going to install GoldenGate in /U01 app Oracle product, and I can create one directory here, product OGG underscore SRC. I'll take new session. I'll go to U01 app Oracle product. So here I'll create rm-rf new. I'll create mkdir ogg underscore src. So I'll ogg underscore src. So I'll use this location and provide that location under software location. So this directory right now is empty. So the GoldenGate, so software location means where will this GoldenGate be installed? Okay, and then we'll tick the box start manager, which will start the manager during installation. So we can uncheck this. So when we uncheck this, we don't need to provide the database location like database home. Now when you tick that, you need to provide the database location, and you need to provide the port on which this manager would run. Now the thing is, you saw architecture of GoldenGate. You saw GoldenGate architecture, and you saw there are only 3 processes involved in GoldenGate replication, like extract, pump, and Replicat process, right? You saw only 3 processes. On top of it, you have got one more process which is called as manager process. Now the manager process, as the name suggests, it manages the resources in GoldenGate environment. So manager process, as the name tells you, manages the Oracle GoldenGate environment. It manages all the resources like extract, pump, Replicat, trail, file. So the manager process, so there is always one and only one manager process with each GoldenGate instance or installation. Manager process runs on a port. So you need to define a port on which your manager process would run on. So
Ashish, I have a question.
so manager process, you need to
Hello.
define a port on which this manager process would run on. So this port can be anything. It could be, just ensure that the port is opened and it is not utilized by any other application or any other process. So by default, the manager process runs on 7809. You can change this port, you can provide any port number as per your requirement. Okay, so once you have done that, so when we do installation on GGate2, I'll show when what happens when we don't start the manager or when we uncheck this box. Okay, so we'll discuss about that. We'll discuss during our GGate2 installation. So during this installation, we'll proceed with starting. And we are providing that manager should run on port 780. Record next. Okay, so Anjali has a question. What are the conditions when manager picks the dynamic port? So that dynamic port is not for manager, it is for data pump. I'll discuss about that, what is dynamic port. So don't get confused. Manager runs only on one port and you need to define that. Dynamic port is for connecting the data pump collector processes. So we'll discuss about that later. So ask that question, Anjali. That question will be clear to you when we configure the data pump process. And during that time, I'll answer that question for you. In fact, I can answer it today as well. Let me complete this. I'll answer this question for you. Okay. What is the significance of port? I can cover that as part as well. Okay. So once you have defined the port and everything, you can review these settings. If the settings are fine, you can do that. If you want to save the response file, like say for example, in lower environment, in development environment, you are allowed to use these you are allowed to use GUI, but in higher environment you are not. So you can save this response file and use this response file in other environment. Once you have done that, click on install and your GOldengate installation will start now. Okay, in the meanwhile, let us start while the GOldengate installation is happening on GGate1. In the meanwhile, let us start the GOldengate installation on GGate2 and we'll do the GOldengate installation over there without any start manager. I want to show you what is the difference between the two. GOldengate installation doesn't take much time. It takes 2 to 5 minutes. So I am on GGate2 right now. So I'll run installer over here. Let me set the display. So to set the display, do Exos plus. Now I'll run installer. So the installer will start. So it has checked your temp space, swap space, etc. So we are waiting for OUI to come up. So here as well, in GGate2 as well, we'll need to define the location where we will be installing GOldengate, right? So installation on GGate1 is happening right now. It is 48% completed. And installation on GGate2, we are going to start now. So let me create the location where we are going to install GOldengate on GGate2. So I'll go to U01 app Oracle product. I'll do mkdir ogg_trg. So GOldengate will be installed over here under OGG_TRG. Okay, I can show you that we can do the silent installation over Ggate too. Let me open the cd/home/oracle ls. So where was that OGG_core.rsp? I can copy. I can do SSH. Just a second. So we'll do SSH Ggate2 no SCP. I'll transfer this file. So I'll do SCP oracle @ggate2 home/home/oracle/softwares. So I'll put it in this location. cd/home/oracle/software cd ogg_classic ls the fbo disk1. So I'll put the file at this location, copy, and I edit it accordingly. And we'll transfer this ogg_core.rsp. Oh, sorry, I think I did. Oh. I think the syntax is correct, no? Here we give.
SCP file name and then comes the later part.
Okay, so we give file name first. Okay, ogg_core.rsp, and then we okay. Oh, okay. So this is correct, right now? Okay. Okay. So now we have the file over here, ogg_core.rsp. I'll edit it according to our environment, like this Gget2 environment. So install option is ora12c. That's correct. Okay, because first option is you have to select for which database you want to do it. So it's for 12c. Then the software location you have to provide. So in this case on Gget2 it will be ogg_trg. Okay, then start manager, let me do false. So we can uncomment this database location. We don't need this as well. Inventory it will select automatically, and group name is install. Everything is fine. So this is okay. Select it, save it, and close it. Now to do the silent installation, the command is run installer -silent -response file. Run installer -silent -response file, one word, and the location of response file. So run installer -silent Now you see it is going to check the temp space, swap space, and it will now do the things for you. Let us wait. So it should use the response file located at this location. So you can install GOldengate in Oracle Home or in some other directory. Anywhere is okay.
So Ashish, in real-time production environment also, it is safer to Oracle Home in case of space gets filled.
So that's what we need to get the sufficient space for GOldengate, right? That's the need.
Okay.
Okay, so now the installation seems to be completed. So now we'll go to our location where we have installed GOldengate. Let us see if the installation is successful. So we have installed GOldengate in U01 app, U01 app, Oracle product, OGG_TRG. See, GOldengate. CDOGG_TRG. Okay, here it is. So you see GOldengate is installed in this location, OGG_TRG now. It is there. So to log into GOldengate, you have to do /GGSCI. So GGSCI, it didn't get the execute privilege, that's why. So I'll use chmod 77. You need 755. I think because we did silent installation, that's why we did this. So when you do GUI installation, automatically you get the permission. So let us go to GGate 1. So it is done. GGate 2 and GGate 1, both installations are done. So let us first go to GGate 1. So we'll go to the location where GOldengate is installed in GGate 1. U01 app, Oracle product. Here we'll go to OGG_SRC. So to log into GOldengate, you have to do /GGSCI. /GGSCI. So GGSCI, as I told you, it's the command prompt of GOldengate, which is classic architecture. So this is classic architecture for you. What we are logging in, this is classic architecture. So GGSCI stands for GoldenGate Software Command Line Interface, and it is part of GoldenGate Home. And you can see we are logged into GoldenGate. So all the configuration, everything is done at GGSCI level. Now to see what all GoldenGate processes are configured in our environment, you need to do info all. Do info all. So every GoldenGate installation have one and only one manager process. So you see manager processes there. But how come it is running? Did we start manager? How come this manager is running? Did we start the manager?
No, we are enabling while installing the operating
Exactly. During the installation itself, we selected the option Start Manager. Because we selected the option Start Manager, that is the reason the manager automatically got started. Okay, on GGate1. So how do you see what all GoldenGate processes are configured in your environment? You have got command called as info all. Info all means information regarding all the GoldenGate processes. Now exit from GGSCI in GGate1. Now when you do ls-lart over here, you will find different directories over here, such as dir pcs. So one more thing before I proceed to show you GGSCI. So each process in GoldenGate has a manager. Each process in GoldenGate has a parameter file associated to it, and the process runs according to parameter provided in the parameter file. Now this manager process is also running on some port. So where is that provided? That port is provided in the parameter file of the process. Now how do we see where the in which port or where is the parameter file? So do view param process name. When you do view param process name, it creates the parameter file for you with the port number. So manager process is running on port 7809. Okay, so this has been done because we selected the option Start Manager. Now exit from here. Now under GoldenGate Home, you have got different directories such as dir tmp, dir sql, dir def, dir dat, dir chk, dir wlt, dir dmp, dir prm, dir crd, dir rpt, dir pcs. So each process in each directory in GoldenGate has its own significance. Like dir tmp stores temporary files, dir dat stores the trail files. So you saw those trail files in the GoldenGate architecture. Guys, sorry, just 1 second. My daughter is here. She wants to speak something. Just 1 minute. Okay, sorry for that. Let's continue. So dir dat is the directory which stores the trail files. Those trail files, what you see, you store those trail files under dir dat directory. Then dir chk is the directory which stores the checkpoint file specific to each process. Dir wlt stores the wallet information. Dir crd stores the credential store. Dir prm is the directory which stores the parameter file of each process. Like manager process we have, right? So you will see that manager.prm has been created. So you see that view param. That view param is basically mgr.prm. So that dir prm stores all the parameter files for each process. Similarly, you have dir rpt. It stores the report file of each process. So if you go to dir rpt, you can see. So because we selected the option Start Manager, that's why you will see the report file of manager, parameter file of manager, everything is present. And PCS stores the process status. So these gets automatically created when you start the manager during installation. Now on GGate 2, let us go to GGate 2. On GGate 2, we didn't select the option of Start Manager. info all. So when we do info all over here, I see manager is top. Why? Because we didn't choose the start manager option on GGate 2. So how do we start the manager? Do start MGR. But now the parameter file does not exist because we didn't select, hence a parameter file is not created. So we need to create the parameter file. How do we create the parameter file? Do edit param MGR. But again, it says directory dir prm does not exist. The parameter file, when you view, it automatically gets created inside dir prm. Do the view from dir prm. But because it does not exist, hence you are unable to create. So if I exit from here, when I do ls-lart, you won't find those directories being created at all, like dir chk, dir prm, dir rpt. So do you need to create them individually now? No, you can create them now. The command to create them is create subdirs. That means create subdirectories. So when you do create subdirs, it creates all the directories which are needed. So exit now and do ls-lart. You will see all the directories are created. But the recommended way of installing is, or safer way of installing GOldengate is, select the option of start manager. It will do everything for you automatically. Okay, but here now if you see, all the directories would be empty because nothing is here. So what we'll do now, we'll start the manager over here. So how do we start the manager? First of all, create the parameter file, do edit param mgr, provide port port 7810. So your source is running on 7809. Target can also run on 7809. But here specifically I am providing 7810. I am just keeping separate manager port numbers on source and target, that is GGate 1 and GGate 2, so that you understand it better when we are using manager port, when we are using target manager port, when we are using source manager port. But yeah, because these are two different servers, hence you can have same port numbers for both managers on different servers. But in our case, we are using different port numbers. Okay, once we have done that, save this file and close it. Once done, you can now do start mgr. Do info all, the manager has started. Okay, so on GGate 1, we did GUI installation. On GGate 2, we did silent installation. On GGate 1, we selected the option start manager. On GGate 2, we didn't started the manager during installation itself. Okay, any question from anyone? Okay, now we will discuss about different options to install or what is GOldengate Hub in the next session. So just to answer Anjali's question now, quickly I'll answer, like I won't go in detail because I'll go in detail when we set up the pump. But just to answer Anjali's question, so there is one more option you provide in manager parameter file, which is dynamic port list. If you are using GOldengate in your environment, you must have seen one along with port. You can also provide dynamic port list option as well. Like you can provide the range of list like 7815, 78112, 782. What is that? You also provide that. If just to let you know why that dynamic port list is used. Now the thing is, your pump process, how it works is, pump process, how does it start? Pump process sends the data over TCP/IP network from source to target. So pump process establishes the connectivity with target manager, and then target manager starts the collector background process, which is called as collector process. So for that collector process, it needs a port. So dynamic port list is used by these pump process to start the collector process. I'll discuss more in detail, Anjali, but it would have given you the brief idea. So manager process requires one port and it runs only the port specified. Dynamic port list is used for source and target connectivity. Okay, so that is why your dynamic port list is used for. But for others, for those who are not able to understand it well, you will be able to understand it well once we configure GOldengate. Once we set up our first installation, during that time it will be more clear to you. In the next session when I create the data pump process, it will be more clear to you what does I mean. But for those who are using it, you will be able to understand what did I mean. Okay, so any questions so far from anyone? Okay, so next what I'll be doing is I'll be providing you training guidelines and lab setup and few emails which you would have received. But prior to that, let me quickly recap today's session and what we'll be discussing in the next session. So in today's session, today's day 1 of 7-week learning GOldengate challenge, and in that we discussed about introduction to Oracle GOldengate architecture. So guys, with each session you will be receiving these recaps as well. Okay, so I'll be sharing these recaps to you and you will have access to those. So in today's session we discussed about introduction to GOldengate architecture, what is GOldengate. Then we discussed about what are different types of architecture, classic and microservices. Then we'd also discuss about what is Veridata. Then why GOldengate. So one thing guys is GOldengate is a licensed product, and in single license we can get both classic and microservices architecture. For Veridata, it's a separately licensed product. But again, any licensing answer or any licensing information I am giving, it may not, it should be taken just for the reference purpose. Any information given to you by Oracle or Oracle account manager, that would be final. Don't take this information as final. What I am giving you, because understand the product is owned by Oracle and it's the Oracle Oracle decision what licensing information they have. So I'm telling you this information based on my work with them, but yeah, it could be different when they provide you some other information. And whatever information they provide, that holds true and correct. Now, why GOldengate? So GOldengate is real-time replication. So we discussed about why do we use GOldengate, what are different types of extract process and Replicat process. So different type of extract process are classic extract and integrated extract. What are different types of replicats? Non-integrated or classic, integrated replicat, coordinated replicat, and parallel replicat. Then we discussed about Oracle GOldengate architecture, how data flows in GOldengate. Then we discussed about installation of Oracle GOldengate. So we discussed about before you proceed to install, you need to note down the binaries and where are the location of software in binaries. Before you proceed with download and install, always check the certification matrix. Then what are the different options available to install GOldengate? GUI installation or silent installation. We did GUI as well as silent installation. Then we discuss about different directories available. We discussed about how to stop start manager, how to edit the parameter file, how to view the parameter. Okay, so for our reference in GOldengate, this training, मम्मी के पास जाओ. Wait just 1 minute. Okay, sorry. So There are three processes involved in GoldenGate replication: capture or extract process, pump process, and delivery or replicate process. So we'll be configuring these process for setting up Oracle GG replication. So we set up our GoldenGate, we installed our GoldenGate on source under OGG SRC directory and on target OGG_TRG directory. So in our case, on GGate1, we have created database OGG DB1 and pluggable database PDB1 on GGate1 or INV SQL plus /SSDBA. So this is OGG DB1 which we have created. Select name from the $database, and this is multi-tenant. Select name from the $database. So OGG DB1 is container database and pluggable database name is PDB1 on GGate1. Similarly on GGate2, select name from the $database. So OGG DB2 is container database. We are using multi-tenant architecture, and pluggable database name is PDB2. So we'll be discussing now what all are the training guidelines and how to set up lab. All these things I'll be discussing with you. So for lab setup, so I'll discuss about that. So in the next session, we are going to so next session is upcoming next week, Saturday 11 June, and timing is same as of today. So what we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss options to install Oracle GoldenGate. So we'll be discussing about options to install GoldenGate. We'll discuss what is GoldenGate Hub. Then we'll move to prerequisites to set up GoldenGate. What is supplemental logging and different types of supplemental logging. GoldenGate process data flow. Then we'll configure GoldenGate extract process to capture the data from source database. Local trail creation on source server. Setting up data pump process to send the data over TCP/IP network. Remote trail creation on target server. And then we'll enable the Replicat process to replicate data on target database upon reading the remote trail. We'll be doing that. So prior to the next session, what are the steps you have to do? You have to set up the lab, which I'll be discussing and which you have received over email, and I'll be discussing now. You have to create database OGG DB1. So you have to create database OGG DB1 on GGate1 and OGG DB2 and PDB2 on GGate2. Create application schemas and tables on both GGate1 and GGate2, and then install Oracle GoldenGate on GGate1 and GGate2. This is what you have to do. So next session is next week, same timing, and link to join for next session will be shared with you over calendar as well as email, the calendar invite as well as WhatsApp, 24 to 48 hours prior to the session. Okay, so next is we are going to discuss about training guidelines and setting up the lab. So if you have any questions, you can ask. If you want to drop off, you can drop off. I'll be discussing about those things. So does anyone have any question related to today's session so far?
Okay. So Ashish, are we going to do the setup for the DBFS part also,
So you'll
or
get
the
the
local
idea.
trail
Yes.
file?
You'll get the idea about that.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Actually, we have one question: how to transfer the local trail file to the DBFS system? So this we
Okay,
are
DBFS file
planning to do.
system, you mean DBFS file system?
Yeah, we are creating. We need to move the trail file to from local trail file to DBFS file.
Okay,
DBFS.
so we'll be doing the setting up of GoldenGate in the next session. We'll do that.
Okay. Okay. Sure, Ashish. Thank you.
Okay, so now For the
Uh,
training guidelines, you must have received few emails from me from the email ID ashishagrawalag@gmail.com. So first email, if you enrolled 2 to 3 days before for the course, you would have received. Now, if you have enrolled within last 1 or 2 days, you will receive that if you haven't received it. And if you haven't received it yet, just drop me an email at my email ID. Okay. So the email, first of all, email which you have received is Oracle GoldenGate course training enrollment confirmation. So this is just for your information. Just look into it. So this would tell you what all courses you are enrolled into. So there are 3 courses, right? Oracle GoldenGate, then Veridata and Microservices. So if you are enrolled in all 3, you will get all 3 courses. If you are enrolled into 1 or 2 courses, you will get information based on that. So just verify, and if you see any discrepancy or anything, just revert on the email, or if you haven't received it. So this is first email which you would have received. Second email which you would have received is related to the lab setup kit, setting up of lab. So for lab setup kit, you need to click on this link for setting up the lab. Okay, so this is the lab which will allow you to define to download the virtual box image and set up the virtual box just like I have on my machine. So here I have VirtualBox 6.0.20. You can also download the latest VirtualBox version from virtualbox.org. Okay, then this is the video available how to set up lab. So it is 30 minutes video. I would recommend you to watch it. It is step-by-step video on how to set up your lab. Then there is a document available as well, setting up of VM step-by-step document how to set up the lab. And this is the image which is around 13 GB image which you need to download. Now I would recommend you to download it over wired instead of Wi-Fi because it is 11 to 13 GB because it is big, and if it is interrupted in between, it restarts from beginning. So that's why. So I would recommend you to start from I would recommend you to start it from to download it from wired connection. Okay. Now once you have done that, once you have downloaded it, it will be downloaded at a particular location. So what you have to do is, once VirtualBox is installed, then you have to import the appliance. So click on File, click on Import Appliances, go to the location where your ggate1.ova file is present. Provide that location. So provide this ggate1, open it. Okay, then click on Next. Now here, select this option under MAC address policy, select generate new MAC address for all network adapters, and then click on import. It will import ggate1 for you. So your ggate1 will be imported successfully. Once your ggate1 is imported, then you need to clone your ggate1 to ggate2. So let me stop this. Okay, so now you have to clone this ggate1 to ggate2. Now remember, for ggate, so as soon as it is imported, you can start cloning. So for cloning purpose, right click on it, and click on clone. Clone, change the name to ggate2 here, change the name to ggate2. Okay, then select the MAC address policy as generate new MAC address, then click on next, and then select full clone over here. Select full clone, and then clone will happen. So importing the virtual box may take 10 minutes to 50 minutes. Similarly, cloning may take 10 minutes to 20 minutes or 50 minutes, depending on the system you have. Okay, once it is done, your GGate 1 and GGate 2 are there. Now next step is in GGate 2. Go to your GGate 2. You will need to change the name of your GGate 2. So everything is available in this document as well. This step-by-step document you see, everything is there. So go to your sysconfig file. So you will need to change the name of So go to this file etc sysconfig network on GGate 2 using root. So guys, the password of each user, Oracle, root, everything is welcome one in small letters. So su hyphen VLCME1. So here you will need to do vi slash etc slash sysconfig slash network. Here you will need to change the host name on GGate 2 to GGate. Here you will have GGate 1, so change it to GGate 2. Okay, once you do it, restart your machine using init 6. So when you have to shut down your machine, use init 0 using root, it will shut down. Init 6 will restart your machine. Once you restart, everything will be fine. Next thing what you have to do is, you have to check the if config of both machines. If config of GGate 2, check the if config of GGate 1 as well. So let me start GGate 1. This is really very important part, guys. Okay, check the if config of GGate 2 as well as GGate 1. So GGate, so you have two Ethernet adapters in this enabled, Ethernet 2, Ethernet 3. So the IP address of this machine GGate 2, you can choose anything. Either you can choose 112, 192, 168, 56, 112, or you can choose anything. You can choose IP address either 111, either ETH2 or ETH3. Both will work. So there is a file etc host slash etc slash host. Sorry. So the IP address assigned to you can be different. So check the IP address in if config. So in etc host, the IP address should be corresponding to your if config output. So in GGate 2, you have IP addresses 192.168.56.111 or 112 assigned to this. So in etc host file of both GGate 1 and GGate 2, you should have correct IP address assigned to both the servers. So check if config of GGate 1 as well. So etc host file exit cat slash etc slash host cat slash etc slash host. So see, the file of both GGate 1 as well as GGate 2 etc host file should match. So the IP address of GGate 1, from where you will get, from here, do if config. So here the IP address I have taken is 109. So you can take either 109 or 110, any IP addresses. Okay, so these you have to correct the, so check the IP address from if config and then edit your etc host file to correct the IP address. Once we have done that, ping GGate 1 from GGate 2, ping GGate 2 from GGate 1, it should be pinging, yeah. Similarly, ping GGate 1 from GGate 2 after making these changes. Ping GGate1. Okay. Okay. So you have to ping that. Ping should be successful. So your machines are ready. Machines are ready now. Both GGate1, both GGate1 as well as GGate2 machines are ready now. So now next step is you need to create the database. So remember, database software is already installed on both the servers. Database software is already installed, but you need to create the database. So how you can create the database? Go to Oracle Home /bin. Just wait. Go to Oracle Home /bin. Use DBCA to create the database. So I have created the container database, multi-tenant architecture database. Container database is OGGDB1, pluggable database is PDB1 on GGate1. Similarly, OGGDB2 container database on GGate2 and PDB2 on GGate2. So if you don't have any other reason, create a multi-tenant database. Okay, use DBCA to install and create the database. So we'll be creating the application schemas and tables in the next session. So for this session, what all tasks you have to do is you have to set up the lab, create database on GGate1 and GGate2, and install Oracle GOldengate on GGate1 and GGate2 as we have mentioned. Okay, and the recording of today's session and all the ongoing sessions will be available over the Google Drive. So the link for Google Drive will be shared to you upon completion of this session. So what you have to do is go to your drive.google.com, and then on the left you need to create shared with me. You will find a folder. So there is a folder shared with me. Click on the folder shared with me, and then you will find a folder over there with the name this. So I'll share the details over the WhatsApp group and email as well. So go to drive.google.com, and on the left click on folder shared with me. There you will find a folder with name latest weekend 2206. That is June 2022 classic folder over there. And with each session you will find day 1, day 2, day 3. So day wise session will be uploaded. Along with that, activity guides are also present in the same folder. Okay. Any question or anything from anyone? So guys, next session we are going to do same time next week, and we already discussed what is the agenda for the next session. So prior to the next session, please complete these tasks, and we'll continue next week. Thank you. So any question from anyone? So guys, I hope today's session was informative and useful and you were able to follow. Vijay, you are saying no. So the answer to your question is any question regarding the question, or were you able to follow? No, I hope it is related to questions. Yeah, Thank you. I hope you were able to follow today's session. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Victoria. Thanks, Abhishek. Okay, so we'll continue our session next week. Thank you very much for joining today's session, guys.